Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Benzinga's Pre-Market Prep. Sorry about that. I think Joel and I mistimed the intro there. But welcome to Pre-Market Prep. Spencer Israel, Joel Elconin, Dennis Dick. The reason we mistimed that intro is because we were distracted because we were looking at DraftKings just now. And so that'll be probably the first thing we discuss here this morning. But we've got DraftKings popping on a headline. We've got a lot of stocks trading up ahead of their reports today. That's the theme of the day, is stocks like basically every stock reporting today and tomorrow is up ahead of their report, every major tech stock. So we'll talk about that. Earnings from Guess, Macy's, a lot going on this morning. Mark Chaikin is our guest. He will join us today, not tomorrow at 8:15. And just a lot happening here on the show this morning. I want to see some more likes. Let's see if we can get to, let's say, 300 likes today. That would be a good threshold, I think. And then Joel, let's go to you here for the overnight session. What's happening?
Good morning, Spencer. Good morning, traders. We are firmly in the green once again. Barely ticked below that closing price from yesterday at 27. That'd be 35.27, 26 and a quarter your low. Pre-market high 56 and a quarter. I'd give you a number if there was a number up there, but there's not. So we will just use that as an upside target. You have crude up 31 cents at 43.07, only a 40-cent range for crude. Gold could not hold the rally from earlier in the week. Gold is down $12 at 1267.50. Silver lagging too. That's down 79 cents at 27.86. And Bitcoin hit a little brick wall there at 12,000, folks. We're down $840. That's 5%. That's a big move here for Bitcoin. Triple D tweeting up a storm last night. Boy, oh boy, are we. How many times can we say it's 1999?
It is now. It is in certain stocks. Like I said, you've got like your greatest hits from 1999 and 2008, because there's some stocks that are trading like it's 2008, and we know those stocks, the stocks that, this market, doesn't want to own at all. And obviously, thinks there's major issues there. And then you have the tech darlings. And I just go back again, and telling that story that I told a couple of weeks ago. When I first started at Bright Trading in 1999, I was a young buck, 22 years old, just coming out of college. And I remember sitting down by your buddy Todd. And I remember, we were in the middle of the tech bubble, the very middle of it all. Towards the end of it, actually. But, it was still in the heart of the tech bubble. And stocks were just going nuts. The NASDAQ went from 5,000 to 6,000 in like 6 weeks. But I can remember sitting by Todd, and he'd buy Amazon in the morning and he'd sell it in the afternoon, and he'd make $5,000 every single day. He just kept doing it every day. I'm like, this is just amazing. I'm like, I've never seen money made like this before. And obviously that was just, the way it was. You buy Amazon in the morning and it'd rally 20%, and then rally 20% the next day, and then rally 20% the next day. So if you think these moves are big, they actually aren't as big as some of the moves in the tech bubble, because you started seeing stocks moving 20% a day. We started seeing that yesterday in certain issues. Bring up Docusign. Did not report earnings, had no company-specific news, but because Zoom beat by as much as they did, Docusign rallies 40 points yesterday. It wasn't enough. It rallies another 23 points this morning. So yesterday, before Zoom reported, not Docusign, Zoom, it was $224. Docusign is now $291, and they haven't even reported yet. They report, I believe, Thursday. But this is incredible to see these moves happening. These look like earnings moves. And this isn't its own stock. This isn't its own earnings. It didn't even report anything. Just trading in sympathy off of Zoom. CrowdStrike, going to report here tonight. Look at the move yesterday. Look at the move here this morning. It started, 2 days ago at 120. Went to 143 yesterday. It'll just tack on another 14 points here this morning. Another 9%.
For fun.
And they didn't report. They didn't say anything yet. They report tonight. So this is just in anticipation of their report. It's been a long time since I've seen moves like this in anticipation of reports. And I don't know, like, this is a little bit of, unscripted stuff here. At least, I've got to go back and read my notes from 1999, and they're hard to read. I never always had chicken scratching, but I mean, this is
Do you save them
unbelievable.
from that far back? Do you save them?
No, I don't have
All
any
right.
notes.
Okay, then. No.
I made that up. So anyway, I'm trying to go for my head though, and all I can keep remembering is Todd sitting beside me and buying. And I'm just learning. I'm trading 100 shares, trying to find my way. But we got to bring Todd on the show. You still reach out to him.
I have not reached out. I don't have I don't think I'm on LinkedIn with him. We gotta
bring him on, and he could tell those stories. But I was like, he was so cool, calm, and collected, because you know what? If he took some heat on, he'd buy the Amazon and it'd pull back a little bit and be down a couple $1,000, and he was just cool about it because he knew, what's going to happen. It's going to go right back up, and it did. Every day, it was like clockwork. I was like, this guy is just awesome. And obviously it was the market that was awesome as well. So, I mean, this is the type of market we are kind of in right now on certain stocks. If you're in the right stocks, you're killing it. I had a few of these trades on. I bought Rocket yesterday morning, RKT, in anticipation because they're going to report tonight. I'm like, you know what? This is setting up okay. I'm going to buy it early. Usually I buy them near the close, but I'm like, I'm going to buy this early. And I bought it 28.25 yesterday morning because I was like, it could get the pre-earnings run. It went to 29. I was like, wow, that's a good move. I should sell. But I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to leave it. I came back to my desk. It's at 30. And I'm like, do I sell some? Do I hold? It went all the way to 31. I'm like, should I keep holding? It went up another $1 after hours. And I'm like, okay, that's enough. I literally, it's at a 4-point move here. It's run up 14% in less than a day. I bought it in the morning. I sold it after hours last night at, I think, 32.
Do you know
it was a bad sale? It's 33 now.
Do you ever parcel out on this stuff? Are you just?
Yeah, I did. I parceled out a bit.
Okay.
I sold a little piece. I do. I always, if I sold a little piece. I sold a little piece at like 31.25, and then it went up more at 32, and I got all out, and I was all out after 32. So it went to 35 this morning.
I know.
It was a bad sell. All these sells, whenever you sell anything, it's like a bad sell.
Don't sell.
Don't sell.
Don't sell. Now
I gotta pull the Lisa Elconin. Just don't sell.
In your lift, you're putting the offers out there, right? You're not middling it or anything.
You're worrying about lifting offers and hitting
bids.
No. This stuff's so liquid, Joel. You just throw your offer, it's gone.
It's gone.
But they're lifting offers left, right, center. You don't even have they're lifting offers.
They don't hit bids when something's going on.
They aren't hitting any bids. And you know what, Spencer Israel? I'll give you some props. You gave me a good tip yesterday. And you're like, sometimes you just got to pay up. And so yesterday morning, I talked about Penn Gaming on the show. I said, I think this could really move the stock because we know we had some analysts. Who was the analyst yesterday? Penn Gaming, Mr. Israel?
Oh, was it? I think it was Cowan, I want to say.
No, it wasn't Cowan.
Was it Craig Hallam?
Craig Hallam. It had to see
Craig Hallam.
Craig Hallam. They had their bull scenario, $200 for Penn. I was like, that's going to get some media talking. And I'm like, this could really move. And we had the little pullback off the hop in the S&Ps. I was like, okay, I'm going to strike on Penn Gaming. I bought it at 52.75. Not even 2 hours later, it's trading 57. So you're talking about almost a 10% move in like 2 hours. I wanted to sell it because I'm like 10% 2 hours. How do you go wrong? But I held it. So I'm still in Penn Gaming. I think the story could remain hot. And this might be a good segue into our DraftKings now. I've been talking nonstop for 9 minutes because DraftKings has news. And this is getting a 14% move this morning. Tell us the news.
Yeah, so maybe, this is also a measure of where we are in the market cycle. The greater the move you see on headlines that don't seem to warrant it, the later in the cycle that you would appear to be in. Not to say that Michael Jordan joining or being announced as a special advisor to the board of directors for DraftKings, not to say that's not worth anything, but it's probably not worth what is it?
15%.
Is it at now? It's probably not worth 13%. It's already off the highs though, so yeah. I don't know. Anyway, so this was broken by Andrew Marchand of ESPN, and then the company confirmed it a few minutes later that Michael Jordan is joining the board of advisors, or a special advisor to the board of advisors of DraftKings. And the stock just blasted off from 37, got as high as over 43. So it's off that now, but that happened right before the show, and that's why we were distracted. I was distracted because I was watching that.
It's a big pop.
Yeah.
Is any of these moves warranted? No. I
No.
mean, some of these moves, Rocket running 20% before the report. Is that warranted? Probably not, but it doesn't matter. You can't argue what's warranted really and what's not warranted in this market. The market's giving away what it's giving, and it's giving away a lot of money if you're along the right stocks right now. I have learned the hard way. I am like spooked to short any tech stock right now. I like, how I trade market neutral? What I was doing last night was tech longs, IWM short. I was just like, because it's working. It's working. I mean, I don't know. Maybe we're getting, because here I trade market neutral. I sector hedge. I do things. Well, I start doing things like this. Maybe we are getting near a top, because like now I'm just like playing it too. I'm like moving away from my core strategies of trading sector hedged and market neutral, extracting alpha from headlines and just buying tech stocks. Because they're just going. I'm like, and that's what my buddy's saying too. I mean, I work all night, reading headlines and figuring it all out. And it really, you just got to buy a couple thousand shares of NVIDIA and go home. NVIDIA's up 24 points here this morning. I mean, it's up, obviously on a Bank America note, which I saw. I bought some NVIDIA on that last night. I've already sold it. I sold at 572. I thought it was a pretty good trade, 20 points overnight. Apparently it's a bad sale. Apparently it wants to go to 600 right now. Well, it might.
What you didn't account for was that this morning you get Mizuho and others chiming in on same thing on NVIDIA after they had their event yesterday. So it's the same story. It's
the same stocks everybody's picking on. It's the same stocks that keep running this market. It's the same stocks. I mean, you look at the spread between AMD and Intel now, and it's, if we go back to when Intel announced obviously their earnings report and they slammed it on it, or that was the chip that they really slammed on, was the earnings report, but the delay in the chip.
Right.
On that day, the day before they announced that, on that day, July 23rd, Intel was $60. AMD on that same day, July 23rd, if I go back, was around $60. Both stocks were the same price. And now you look at it, and you've got AMD at $93.45 and Intel at 50. That's a 40-point blowout, huge in percentage terms. And we talked about this on the show. And, we had a lot of people on Fast Money saying, well, the spread's going to come back in. They were talking about Intel versus AMD. And that was when AMD was 75 and Intel was trading around the same price, 50. Well, I tweeted out that night, I said it on the show. I said, I respect everybody on Fast Money. They have good opinions, but I think they're wrong here. I think this continues to blow out because what's hot in this market, what is hot stays hot, and what is cold stays cold. And Intel saying, the chip's going to be delayed 2 years is going to make it ice cold for a long time. And AMD was a beneficiary of that. And now if you look, AMD is $93, and obviously it's moved up another 18 points, and Intel's basically tacked on nothing. So again, the story, the strong get stronger, the weak get weaker, kick them while they're down, whatever you want to say. But when you're trying to buy these dogs and thinking it's the turnaround, you know what I sold yesterday out of my long-term portfolio?
Cisco.
Gone. I was like, this is the dog of dogs. I'm going to eat the loss and move on. Maybe it's the bottom. Maybe value tech will come back into play. But this has been a fantastic market. If your stock's not going up in this market, you own the wrong stock.
Real quick on that DraftKings, you did get a nice bounce on this one. The way you backed off, we can see at the pre-market high at 43.74. You backed off to $42. What was this daily high? You would have had to been quick to get this daily high. 43.75. So there it was. That's right up near the old-time high. Not a huge Michael Jordan fan. Because
how can you not be a Michael Jordan fan? Stop.
He's from the Bad Boys Pistons days.
Will you listen to this, Mark Chaikin?
Wait a second. Let me explain, Dennis. You just talked for 14 and a half minutes.
Okay.
When I first went to Chicago is when the Bad Boys were starting to make their run, right? So I was on the floor. And I was like, betting these guys. I'm like, Pistons. And I was cleaning up. And then you kind of felt the turn about 91, 92. I made some pretty good money. And everyone hated me in the pit and everything because I was like, Pistons. And then it made the turn. And they're like, hey, let's bet on the title this year. I'm like, no mas, no bet, nothing. And then that's when the Bulls came. So, I mean, it's just the Pistons disrespected him and he disrespected the Pistons. So it's my Pistons loyalty more than I respect
I'll give you
Michael
that.
Jordan. I respect Michael Jordan.
Fair enough.
I don't own any Jordan Michigan stuff. I just want you to know that. No Jordan Michigan apparel.
I'm going to say I think Michael Jordan is the most dominant athlete to his sport maybe ever.
Yeah.
Out of all sports, there's no athlete I believe that dominated their sport more than Michael Jordan. I don't know. Some people might, argue with me on that. You could have argued that a little bit for Tiger Woods in his younger days, but then, maybe some of his extracurricular shenanigans brought him down. But Michael Jordan, just an unbelievable athlete. Mark Chaikin, what are your thoughts here on Michael Jordan?
Our guest,
Hey guys, cool it.
Our guest,
Cool it.
Cool it. We're talking stocks here.
Yeah.
Michael
trying
Jordan.
to get us back there.
Michael Jordan is a businessman and not very successful. Charlotte Hornets are the case in point. So.
Good investment.
So you'll judge him on his business, not on his basketball.
Yeah, I would say the most dominant player was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. All those titles at UCLA and then with the Lakers.
Okay, Mark, I think you have thoughts on this winner-take-all market, right?
Yeah, the Fed yet again changed the rules on Thursday, Friday in Jackson Hole when Fed Chair Powell said, we'll let inflation run if the economy heats up without raising interest rates. Well, guess what? Recessions happen when the Fed raises interest rates in an overheated economy. And basically this is saying, guys, no matter what happens over the next 3 or 4 years, we're not getting a recession. So they basically doubled their bet. They backed up the bet that they made in March, reiterated in June and July by saying interest rates are staying low, inflation be damned. You've got a Fed put, basically. This market is only going one way. And I hate to say that because that's when you get a top. But short of some exogenous event, and there are plenty of potential for that out there, but I mean a serious one, not some glitch in the China trade talks.
The election, to running into the election. I mean, and then, the outcome of the election. What could stop us between now and then?
Not much. Not much. You're going to get a compromise on the stimulus bill. The Republicans are starting to talk. Mark Meadows is starting to talk as if they'll give some aid to the cities. You might peak if you got a stimulus bill and you sold up to 3,700 on the S&P. My target's been 3,500, 3,600 for the last month, and we're going to hit 3,600 maybe before Labor Day. But I do think it's time to take a little money off the table if that happens ahead of the Friday employment numbers.
I mean, the move in some of these tech stocks is just incredible. And the rotation is almost more incredible because people keep saying, oh, how strong the market is. It's tech carrying the market to new heights, and it's carrying it fiercely now. And it's it's some of the smaller tech growth names that are really carrying it now. You're in the banks, you are in a world of pain. The pharmaceuticals got murdered yesterday. IBB, XBI, ugly charts, and a lot of different individual stocks like Pfizer were down substantially yesterday. So a rising tide does not lift all ships in this case. It's tech.
It is definitely tech. You're also getting a breakdown in some of the big biotech names, the good names like Regeneron, which traded under our long-term average last night. So it went from bullish to neutral. But you were talking about moves ahead of earnings. Docusign's an example of that. When Zoom reported Monday night, guess what happened? And not only did Zoom go up 50% at one point, but Docusign, which reports Thursday, I think after the close, had a sympathy rally. It wasn't just a rally. Look at the chart on DOCU. It's unbelievable. And I don't know that Docusign is the kind of ubiquitous
great name
resource, but how many people are signing contracts versus how many people are using Zoom? So yeah, it's a good stock. It's a great concept. Been around for years. This is one where if I would take money off the table, even though they're going to report some big numbers, because 155 million people are not using Docusign. That was, I think the number with Zoom, 4 million people, monthly active users. Amazing.
I've used DocuSign. Have you used DocuSign
Oh,
at
yeah.
all, Mark,
Oh,
in the
Oh, yeah,
last 3
yeah,
months?
we bought our
Yeah,
house
I just-
in
Yep.
If you're buying a
February.
house, you're using it.
Yeah, so maybe that ties into the boom in home building. And they're certainly going to
Good
report a
point.
good quarter. But I mean, look at the move they had yesterday. It just
Yeah.
doesn't, nothing, this is not going to stop. I'll tell you what I have been looking at, and I guess this is good for your business. But Sandy is in one stock. I mean, I think I mentioned it last time, Digital Turbine, APPS. So it had this huge run from 12 to 29.75. And it pulled back all the way to 22.50. So it was a 25% pullback. And you couldn't find any news on it. So I went on the message boards. I went on the StockTwits message board, and you cannot believe the banter back and forth. It is like 99 on these they used to be called message boards on these social stock market sites.
Right.
And there are a lot of people, when this thing was going down over the past week, there are people moaning and groaning, I just bought it, I'm getting wiped out, my options are going to zero. I mean, there's a lot of money with zero commissions that are just chasing names. And
I think that's a great point, because so many of these free trading apps, these Robinhood, Webull, whatever, Public Gatsby, there's a big part of these apps. One of their big selling points is the social component. They all stress the fact that it's like trading app and also social network, right? You can talk about your stocks on the app and see what other people are doing, and that's a huge part of it. And Mark, that's a really good point, because people can just talk. There are so many more platforms now. You can basically in one screen talk about your stock and then swipe up and then just buy it, right? It's
Yeah.
like,
and at one point, these people are really going to get hurt, but I can't tell you when. You can just feel from reading the message boards that they know a little bit about technical analysis, which is a good thing. They don't have a clue about the fundamentals in most cases. So, they're strictly trading momentum. And then a huge short seller came into this stock. I mean, huge, millions of shares. And it just wiped the stock out for a week and a half. And then it just came back yesterday, big time. So the shorts decided to play in another ballpark, and the longs took over. Look at a stock called GoGo, and look what it
oh
did
man, we
yesterday.
talked
I mean,
about that yesterday.
what's going on in GoGo? That's the worst airline connectivity I've ever had.
Well, they sold.
They got rid of it.
They're getting rid of their airline business.
There you go.
That did pop, man. That did pop late day yesterday. I took my eye off it. That
It
thing
was
went
almost
to,
a double. It went from
it
4
went
to
late
8.
day.
Yeah,
we're on the line.
was $4.
We're on the line with Mark Chaikin, Chaikin Analytics. Joins the show every 2 weeks, usually on Thursdays. We threw him a little curveball today, having him on today. Mark, we have some people asking about the VIX, and a little worried about the VIX picking up here a little bit.
Actually, this is bullish. Let me explain it in layman's terms if you haven't had someone on who's doing it. This is all about something called the gamma trade. It's what dealers have to do to
Get
even their
hedged.
books.
Yep.
And it's not coming from big money. The other side of the trade are small options traders. That's why the put call ratio has been so crazy and driving, contrarians crazy. Small traders are buying call options on the Apples, Teslas, Docusign, Zooms of the world. It's forcing the dealer, and they could be one contract, 2 contracts, 5 contracts, but it all adds up. And some hedgies are doing this too to get exposure on a predefined risk basis. So what do the dealers have to do? They've got to hedge those positions. And Dennis is probably better equipped to tell you how they do that, but they're using delta trades to neutralize their exposure from all these people. Normally, when the public is buying options, the market makers have a field day, right? Because they're fading the public. But now there's so much cumulative demand for single stock options. Normally, the gamma trade develops because of what the options activity in the SPY is doing. Now it's because of single stock call options that the public is using. Now, what's the end result of this? VIX goes up, but actual stock volatility goes down, because when the dealers are hedging, they will dampen moves as part of their hedging activity. So that's what's going on. A couple of very smart people, smarter than I am, have commented on this. And so don't be fooled by the headline that says a rising VIX into a rising market is bearish. It happened in 99, it happened in 08. That's total bull. There's something going on under the surface that's bigger than normal technical indicators.
Mark,
I mean,
quick question.
You're
Oh, go ahead,
exactly
Chip.
right. I could just comment a little bit further. You're exactly right. I mean, when you play option market maker and you're providing liquidity on these things, it's not like, you think the person on the other side of your call, might just be some other Robinhood trader, and more likelihood it's probably a dealer. For the most part in your options markets, it's dealers on the other side, and they're not in the game speculating that they think you're going to expire worthless. They are going to hedge themselves out. So I think you're exactly right, Mark. I think they're going to use different tactics, and that's going to be one of them, to use hedging. So I've always said, you can look at the VIX and you can say, oh yeah, 26, 30, 35, it's always going to be bad for stocks, but it's a good point. It's not always the case. And
it's also in short dated weekly expirations, which puts even more pressure on the dealer, because normally that's manna from heaven. They short, they go on the other side of that trade and they expire worthless. I bought one contract Monday near the close on Zoom. I bought the 400 call expiring on Friday.
Wow.
Paid $1.85.
You paid that, and it's expiring this Friday?
Yeah, I paid $1.85.
Holy,
it traded at
75.
Trade. I just did one contract to see what would happen. It traded at 75. Yesterday at 10
I had no idea
o'clock.
those options were only trading at that. You were talking how the options
No, it was
were fairly cheap.
It was the 400. The stock was trading at 308.
No, I know, but it had an earnings event in it, and obviously the market makers had that event risk priced way wrong, because if they're going at $1.50, man, hindsight's 20/20.
I know,
but
the straddle was, I think Spencer and I discussed it on that. The straddle was only like 35 or 40 or something. $30, like that.
I thought you said.
So,
Mark, I gotta ask you though. I gotta ask you here. Are you gonna, okay, we got September and we got October and then we have the election. So are you just letting the chips run all the way for the next 2 months, all the way through the election? No matter who wins, the market's going to keep going higher. Is there any ideas, any strategies that you might employ ahead of that big event? That's a big event.
I would take some money off the table as we head into the Labor Day weekend. We're getting a really good pop this morning. And the reason is the end of September is typically weak. And part of the reason the end of September is weak is that it always leads up to the new fiscal year for the US government on October 1st. And that means a debate over debt ceilings and budgetary policy. So I think there's enough in that complex with the stimulus bill thrown into the mix that traders could take some money off the table. But I'm talking 10, 20% just to have some cash in case we get a lot of volatility to the downside. But typically the end of September is weak. So I think the odds favor selling into strength. It looks like it'll be close to 2,600 here before the employment reports come out on Friday. I'm sort of betting that everything is baked in that could be positive with those
unemployment, coronavirus, those things don't matter. I mean, if it's higher unemployment, that might be good, because then there'd be more stimulus and lower rates coming, right?
But basically, I think this market is going higher, and but I think it's time to take a little money off the table. Let me share a conversation I had with Sandy at the dinner table last night. I did a very late.
What you have for dinner?
Oh my God.
We had grilled swordfish.
Oh, I love swordfish.
Holy heat. That's
great
exotic.
Great recipe for grilled swordfish.
They'll be
Never
on
ate
me.
swordfish.
So
okay, wait, share the conversation.
I said to Sandy, your account is killing it. I thank you. It's our retirement account. This is not going to end well. I said, I can't tell you when it's going to peak, but in 55 years on Wall Street, I've seen 4 or 5 markets like this you would call them bubbles, 73.4, 69.70, 1987, 99, 208. This is different because of the Fed. But I said, it's not going to end well. It can end well because everybody is a little too giddy with their portfolio. Not everybody, but the people who are trading tech stocks and the new economy stocks. So I said, enjoy it, but follow the discipline because at some point it's going to reverse. And when it reverses, there's no stopping it. So it's not going to end well, but that could mean 2022.
Well, yeah, who knows?
Great point. Great advice as always. Mark Chaikin is the founder of Chaikin Analytics. You should go on that site, check out their platform. They have a lot of really good data and research and gauges and meters and screeners on that. So check it out. Mark, thanks for the time today. And
Thanks.
we'll talk again.
And
thanks, Mark.
Yep,
Thanks,
watch
Mark.
NVIDIA break through 600. We own it, and it's blown through all the price targets. Remember, Susquehanna raised their price target. NVIDIA was trading at 460 ahead of the earnings report. Susquehanna came out and said 550 is our new target. That was 2 weeks ago.
And now you got Bank America this morning raising their target up to 650, I believe. So
Yeah, it's just unbelievable.
Analysts chasing price.
Yeah, and again, that never ends well either. They'll follow the leader until they get singed. But if you bet against this market, as Dennis said, you're really
It's been tough.
on the wrong side of the trade. Why do it? I mean, I did a webinar. I had one slide for a classic bear. That was it. Everything was about how you buy tech on a dip.
That's what we've been talking about for years.
That's
Chewy.
it.
Buy the dip on
Chewy.
strong stocks. It's working really well right now.
Have you guys
That's
talked
it.
about Chewy lately?
Not
It's been
not
unbelievable.
recently,
Chewy's a
but
great stock, and it had a bullish power gauge rating. As soon as it came out of we need 12 months to get a power gauge rating. As soon as it was eligible,
Wow.
rating turned bullish, supporting the relative strength, and the stock has just been a rocket ship.
I absolutely hated this stock back in January. And
Me
then
too.
COVID hit. And I'm
Me
like, well,
too.
this is a COVID stock. And it was like $35. I didn't buy it, but I was like, I don't want to be short it because the story changed. Same thing, Peloton, Chewy, anything buying anything online was going to rocket. We saw that. And, that's what's happened there. So COVID changed the game for so many of these companies, especially the ones that were already there.
COVID and the Fed.
COVID and the Fed, but specifically for some of these, it's online shopping that really exploded. People who were still buying, and they were buying stuff online back in March and April, and it hasn't slowed down.
Well, by the way, there's one thing I want to say, and I'm taking more time than I've been
That's
allowed.
okay.
Yeah, we're going to start charging you soon, Mark.
That's all right. I got a credit card. FedEx, put up a daily chart of FedEx.
Yes, sir.
I noted this in my market letter 2 weeks ago. When FedEx reported a positive earnings surprise on June 30th, that basically triggered an upside gap. And if you look at the chart of FedEx, it is the market. It encapsulates the shop at home economy, what we're all doing, ordering online from Wayfair, Overstock, Chewy. And if you look at that chart, it's straight up. As long as FedEx maintains that daily momentum, the daily is really the key. And it all started on June 30th or July 1st when it gapped up in response to the positive earnings surprise. As long as FedEx keeps that uptrend going, this market is in good hands because it's telling you that people believe that the shop at home economy is going to keep going.
It's transport theory is what it is. All right.
Yeah, it's the new transports. And, so I think this is a stock everybody should keep an eye on because when that reverses, if it reverses on a technical basis, that will be a big red flag.
All right. Thanks a lot, Mark, for the stocks.
Enjoy the holiday weekend, guys.
That's
Stay
fun,
safe,
Mark.
everybody.
Thank you. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks,
Okay.
Mark.
Mark Chaikin, Chaikin Analytics. Thanks, Mark.
We have talked about stocks that are in favor today. What about stocks that are out of favor, but that are up this morning? There are a number of those.
Sell 'em.
Vera Bradley, and Macy's had earnings. They're all up on that. And AMC
Now we're gonna get to Dennis rant about Kodak.
AMC is up.
Oh yeah, we should. This is what you do. You buy dips and stocks that are in uptrends, and you sell rips on stocks and downtrends. You guys didn't follow that theory yesterday when you made that
Yes,
bet with
sir.
me with Kodak, and I gave you an edge. And I said it would close under $9 when it was trading 10.15. It didn't close under $9. It didn't close under $8. Well, it did close under $8. It closed under, it's 7.30 it closed. So they sold that pop left, right, center. So many people caught. Classic overhead supply. A rising tide does not lift all ships. And in this case, I'm collecting 2 lunches. Yeah.
Well, whenever we see you again, I don't know when that's going to
How
happen.
you get to Grubhub me?
All right. But yeah,
I collect Grubhub.
so Kodak was up yesterday in pre-market, and that's out of favor, and they sold that. Today you got AMC, Macy's, Guess, and Vera Bradley. AMC, I mentioned, the headline is that they said that 70% of their U.S. theaters will be open by Thursday or by Friday.
Short interest in some of these is a concern, though. And it's not like they've been in downtrends, but they've turned a little bit. All 3 of these charts, I just brought them all up. They've all turned in the last little while. I guess had a pretty good day yesterday. Now it tacks on a little bit. I'm not going to necessarily, you know what I'm looking to short here today if this market continues the way it is. And obviously, things can change very, very quickly, but the pharma, because pharma had a terrible day yesterday. And if you're getting pops in pharma stocks here this morning, I think they're selling opportunities. Mark mentioned it briefly, but that was an ugly red candle in Pfizer. That was an ugly red candle in the IBB. That was an ugly red candle in a lot of pharmaceutical stocks yesterday. This has been a place of hiding for a while. And you know what? This trade could come off a little bit. These things still, and let's, be honest, this has been a growth market that wants to invest in growth. A lot of these pharma stocks are more value plays, and they have been held up okay. And some of them have rallied, but I think there could be some money that comes out of these things. So I'd be careful. If I'm looking to short stocks this morning, I'd short pharma on the pops. None of those other stocks. If you want to talk
what about what about the financials?
Well, the financials have been in the gutter. So, they've been in the gutter
you.
for a long time. I mean, they're down here again today. I mean, do I want to own the banks? Probably not. TLT had a pretty good day yesterday, but they're so in the gutter. You can group American Airlines. I mean, it got a sell rating here today.
Oh, let's talk about the pairs trade there.
Sure. Which one?
Was it Berenberg?
Yeah, they're upgrading LUV and downgrading American Airlines to sell. It's late to the party. You're coming out with sell ratings here now. Is American Airlines bankruptcy imminent? No, I think it just kind of treads water. But these are still, remember, it's all about rotation. Right now, they're hungry for tech and they're ignoring all this other stuff. But if that rotation turns, and it will turn, I don't know if it's going to turn today. I don't know if it's going to turn tomorrow. It's not like where it's going to be 2021 before it turns. We get these short-term turns. You're going to see a turn in this probably this week. Is it going to be today? Is it going to be tomorrow? We don't know. But when it starts to turn, first leader you'll see falls Tesla. And Tesla had actually a weak day yesterday, and that went under the radar. If Tesla follows through with more weakness, it could start to roll over some of the other tech too. I mean, everybody's buying them this morning, so it's hard for people to think that tech could roll over. And I'm not saying go out and short tech stocks, but I'm saying if tech rolls over, when it does, these other stocks will come back and start to find buyers because it'll just rotate right over into some of these it'll go from stay at home, the tech darling names, into the reopening trade. So I don't want to be short those either. I'm going to ride the tech trade. I'm going to keep riding some of these tech longs, but I'm with the caution button. Like you're saying, maybe raising up your trailing stop, still looking at a long-term portfolio, not selling any of them out of the long-term portfolio, but as trades, I mean, they've had big moves. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that you could have a couple of days where they cool off for a bit.
All right, Apple trading at a new all-time high here, up $3.71. Anyone that was playing the short thesis on the split?
I tried it. I said it. You've got to get out of those trades. I tried to short Apple at the open. I shorted the Apple open the day of the split because there's a quantitative approach that says that pays money. It started going up. I was like, it's not going to work this time. So I took my quick loss and I moved on. I was in that trade for less than 2 minutes. How do you know? You want immediate gratification on stuff like that. You don't hang around thinking, oh, my thesis will play out. You start seeing Tesla rip and Apple rip, you're like, your thesis is wrong, boy. Get out of that trade. Got to admit when you're wrong. So I interrupted you, but you were going to talk Apple tech. Give me Apple technicals.
No, what's there to give you?
It's all-time highs.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm
what are you
still
gonna
long
do?
it in the retirement account. I'm not going to sell it, but
Yep, 137.97. I'd just say why not 140 today? And tongue in cheek, I would have lost the wager, but I said 150 in Walmart yesterday, and you're like, no, not maybe by the end of the week. Well, it's Wednesday.
that's unbelievable. The Walmart move. It got to
Yep.
150. I was bullish Walmart.
No, you were bearish. I was just saying,
No,
I
I was
think it might hit
bullish.
150
I was full
today.
bullish
I know,
Walmart.
I know.
He said you weren't bearish.
Oh, I
Yeah,
weren't
you weren't.
bearish. Yeah.
Yeah,
I said 150. I threw it out there, but I didn't think you could do it in one day. This Walmart move is stupid. Like flat out, like this is crazy town.
It's like Looney Tunes.
Well, 130. This is Walmart, folks. This is one of the biggest retailers in the world, and just tacked on $20 because they might buy TikTok and they might deliver their packages a little bit sooner. I mean, when you look at online deliveries, everybody thinks, oh yeah, Walmart and Target are going to take on Amazon on their online. And then you see the statistics and they're like 3 or 4% of Amazon's online sales. It's not even in the realm of closeness. So because they're going to deliver their packages faster.
But the thesis has always been not that they're competing right now, but that they're the only ones that can compete.
Yeah, and if they're going to deliver the packages faster, maybe everybody's going to move over to Walmart and start, shopping there. But Microsoft thought the same thing when they invented Bing. And they're like, oh, we want to come up with the verb because everybody says Google it. Well, we're going to Bing it. Bing it comes off the tongue a little bit clearer. But you know what? The Bing sucks.
I think Bing is still around.
Bing sucks.
Isn't Bing still,
and you know what? You're
around.
trying to take on the Goliath of Amazon. And yes, Walmart and Target might get 3, 4, 5, maybe even 10% of their market share, maybe 20. But for the most part, it's still Amazon's world. I don't think about, you have to change the whole consumer thought. The first thing that I do when I want to buy something online is I go to Amazon because I know I can get the best price and I know I can get the product within a day or two, sometimes even the same day. I don't think about going to Walmart. And I go to Walmart and you search on their sites and you're trying to find what you're looking for and you can't find it. You can always find what you're searching for on Amazon. I mean, here's an example. I have a hot tub and the control panel is euchred on it. So I call up the swimming store, the local swimming store, and I say, how much for this control panel? They price out for me $900. I was like, all right, I'm going on Amazon. Go on Amazon, find the same part, $349. Same part, $349.
Used?
No, brand new, right from the part supplier, $349. So obviously I'm in Canada. I had to go to the US. So I know that, first it's US dollars. So it's like $450. So now I'm $450 ahead. So I order the part thinking, oh, I'm going to save some money. I know when it comes across the border, I'm going to have to pay the tax, right? So this is going to be a UPS story for you too. So I get the message from UPS, your part's at the border, but you got to pay the tax on it. So they send me the invoice. So the tax, which is the HST in Canada, is 13%. It's ridiculous in Ontario. Yeah, 13% is our tax rate for our sales tax. So I pay the $80 in sales tax, but then I look on it. There's a brokerage fee. And I know there's brokerage fees. Guess how much UPS charged to figure out that I owed $80 in tax? Guess how much they charged?
40.
UPS.
10%.
40.
I don't know, 5%.
They charged $88 to figure out that I owed $80 in tax. The brokerage fee was more than the tax I owed. That went right to UPS. So you think about UPS making money, they make it in different ways. Product comes across the border. They charge me another $88 for somebody to pen in 0.13 times the value of my product, $350 or $450 because they convert it to Canadian.
Or something. They probably.
Oh yeah, it might just be a machine generated too, but they charge you that. Somebody had to look at the package, I'm sure. They look at the value because there's a sticker on it, and then they type and they figure it out, the tax. Okay, he owes this tax, and they have to write me up an invoice, probably send me the invoice over online so that it can be released at the border. And I have no choice. I'm like, I can't negotiate this $88. I can't call and say that's insane. I have to pay it or they don't let my part come in. So I had to pay it. I had to pay the $88 plus the $80 in tax. $88 they charge for a brokerage fee. That's highway robbery.
So
But you know what?
the lesson here is long UPS, right? That's the lesson.
But
That's what I'm saying.
you still got your part okay.
I got my
mean,
part and I still saved some money, but like I said, it was $450 compared to $900. Well, I had to pay the $88 tax, so it started to come up quickly to $650. So maybe you can see why the other, swimming pool store, I probably was buying it from the U.S. as well, and knew they were going to have to pay all that stuff because I probably buy parts there all the time.
And
So
back in the good old
with it.
days, you could send it to my house, and then you would come over to my
Yeah,
house
that's what I would do
and
back in the
pick it
good.
out.
Oh, I always did it that way. I'd send it to Joel, and then I'd go across the border, pick it up, have lunch with you. I'd pick up my part and bring it back across the border. And you know what? You get the guard at the border and say, I got a swimming pool thing, a little control panel. They say, go ahead. So I don't pay anything. And I eat lunch. And I get a free lunch out of it because he owes me so many lunches. But now we can't cross the border. So I get screwed.
What about when I gave away your dish receiver? You remember that?
That was ridiculous. I ordered some part. I don't know what it was.
No, it was a receiver.
It was a receiver. I ordered it because I was getting it cheaper. Again, doing the same thing. I forgot to tell him that. I did tell. He never read his text. I texted you that I'm sending you this. Anyways, you tell me the story like 2 days later. You're like, you won't believe this. Amazon just sent me a receiver. Like, and I don't know why they sent it to me. I was like, I'm like, so they said, well, it's yours. Just keep it. You called and complained, like, take this back. I don't need this receiver to Amazon. You're like, no, it's already been paid for. It's just yours. Keep it. So then you're like, going to give it away. And I'm like, Joel, that's my receiver. I sent it to you. Read your texts.
I know. I'm sorry. Sorry about that.
Joel was going to give away my thing.
846, Spencer, we digressed. What are we going to do next week? How are they going to talk stocks when you're gone?
I do want to do some ticker time, but before I get to that, I want to mention a new ETF that has me excited here. It starts trading today. So Dennis is going to warn you that this is not going to be super liquid. He'll be right. But this new ETF is the ticker is MSOS, starts trading today. This is a pure US cannabis ETF. The reason I bring this up is because this trade has worked really, really well this year. All right. I own 4 of the top 8 holdings in this fund, and I'm up between 40 and 80% in all of them this year. This fund owns US multi-state operators, so cannabis companies with operations in more than one state in the US. The trade has worked really, really well. I'm talking companies like Curaleaf, Green Thumb, Trulieve, Innovative Industrial Properties.
Can you help me with some of these symbols?
Sure.
Five symbols.
I'll give you like IIPR.
Yeah, go slow for the old man.
Okay, IIPR is one. That's not one that I own, but that is in this fund. It's one of the top.
Wow. Okay.
This trade has worked really well. CURLF is another one. That's one that I do own.
That one.
That's one that I do own. Worked really well. So anyway, and I'll give you a couple more here. GTBIF, I also own that one.
Man, you're a bulletin board guy.
That's a top holding. So this fund that owns all of these, it's got like 20 of them. MSOS is the ticker. Starts trading today. This is what I wanted. When I wanted to buy MJ, this is what I really wanted.
Yeah, because MJ has all the crappy Canadian ones.
Exactly. MJ has Canopy Growth and Kronos and Afria.
All the ones that were last year or 2 years ago. Hot stocks. We don't want 2 year ago hot stocks. We want hot stocks now.
Right. So I'm just saying this trade has worked. We're talking about stocks that have been in favor, staying in favor. This trade has worked really, really well this year. It's not going to be super liquid off the bat. Keep that in mind. But this starts trading today. It has me excited.
Give us the symbol one more time.
MSOS.
MSOS, Dennis.
MSOS.
I
don't have it in my system yet.
Look at this. I know. Neither am I. I pulled it up. Village Farms. We've talked about that one before.
Canadian.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Canadian.
Canadian.
Want any Canadian.
Get rid of it. Get rid of it.
Canadian pot stocks.
Yeah. APHA. Get rid of it.
They don't go anywhere. They go down.
What was the one?
Maybe eventually they get hot again.
What was the one
they're in the gutter.
Oh, this one popped. I remember this popped to 16, 17, and now it's back at 5. Holy mackerel. How's Tilray doing?
They're all terrible, Joel.
Oh,
Tilray, it's $6 from 300. Oh, that was a great investment.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you.
Tilray at 300. That was the high.
That was the very top of the pot stock craze in Canada.
All right.
But GRWG is the one I trade this all the time here, and this is one in the US. And this one actually, you know what? This GRWG is in consolidation station right now.
That's going to be in the fund.
I like this one. I like this setup. I don't know anything. Obviously, probably valuation's extreme, but we don't care about valuation right now because this market doesn't care about valuation. All I care about is the setup.
We're not even talking on the show anymore.
Consolidation station. Yeah, PE should be just eliminated from the show until further notice. We'll start talking PEs after the tech crash. But right now, we don't talk PEs. We don't care about PEs. We just care about growth. And grow generation. It's got grow in the bloody name. It's got to be good, right? You know what? Kramer was the one on this at $20. I'll get on it at 16. I like it here. I like the setup in GRWG. If it broke down below the low of the move, which is 1330, that's a long ways down. I'd stop myself out probably at the little double bottom at 1530 because I don't want to stomach it that low. So call it 15. So if you're buying it here today, 1629 pre-market, maybe you get lucky, pick it up in the low 16s. I think it's got the potential to go. I kind of like this chart.
They're talking about Jordan here in DraftKings, and
Where's DraftKings now? Whoa.
Yeah, I'm sure it came in. But
not really.
If it was it 41
no,
and a half?
It's holding up, man.
50%.
Okay.
It's not coming in.
No. Maybe he's just trying to hedge because he, if you read any of the books or anything about his gambling.
Oh my God, Joel.
No, seriously. Am I making that up, Spencer?
He's trying to hedge his own gambling habits. Is that what you're trying to say?
Is he a gambler?
That's what he just said. That's what
he a gambler?
No comment. No comment.
He is. He's known for enjoying the casino.
Really?
Nothing wrong with
you
that.
You didn't know that, Dennis? You got to
Nothing
get out
wrong
of your
with that.
cave, man. That's been known for a long time.
I watch his basketball. Old Michael Jordan on ESPN Classics.
All right, so you guys know
they don't have classics anymore.
how I love my ETS. If you want to play that space all in one MSOS, let's go to the chat now for some tickers.
Ticker time.
And actually, I want to see some more likes. If you are going to buy MSOS today, hit that like button. I want to see how many people actually listen to me or not. Oh, and actually, one more thing before I do that. We talked before we went on this morning about SHLL.
What are you gonna? This has got to be one of your best trades ever. Where did you buy this thing?
This is my best trade I've ever made. Actually.
Where did you buy it?
1892.
On and what day?
I don't know. July 30th.
You bought the bottom.
Or August 1st. I don't know. Somewhere in
bought the bottom.
Oh,
it's $53. It's 1 month later. Spencer Israel, what are you doing?
So I'm going out of town for 10 days. And I
10 days.
Do not.
Can you believe this? We're gonna have
Jason,
to talk to
how did he get a
10-day
vacation?
Can you dial up Jason right now? Find out what the hell is going on here.
Answer right now. Do you know that Spencer Israel leaving us for 10 days? When are you leaving?
Tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow.
That's why Joel's been running the show. We're trying to figure out, so we can stay going here.
Right. So
show must go on.
I do not want to be checking my portfolio at the beach. That's not. I don't want to do that. So here's what I'm going to do today. At some point today, before the close, I'm going to put in a trailing stop. I don't know where I'll put it in, probably anywhere between 20 and 30% down from where it is right now, or from whenever I put the order in. And then I'm going to go away. And if I get stopped out in the next 10 days because it's fallen 25, 30%, then so be it. I don't want to sell. I do not want to sell. But I am not going to I'm going to try to unplug, and I don't want to come back with the stock being back at, $25. So no, I don't think that's going to happen, but in the off chance it does.
So you don't have any quotes on your phones? Like any?
No, I do, but I don't want to.
He wants to relax. He doesn't want to worry about this stock price on vacation.
Genius Brands is getting a pop here. Genius Brands.
Is that still stock?
Cartoon Channel has.
Let's go back to the shell. We digress.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say, whenever I go on vacation, I put a stop. I always get stopped out right at the bottom.
Called the vacation.
Because you know what a stop is really doing? Let's just think about this. When you put a stop out there, and you're obviously putting stops in stocks that have been working for you. So the stock's going straight up. What is the stop equivalent to doing? It's equivalent to selling the dip. Because you're always on a dip. Like that's where you're going to get stopped out because they're putting it below the price. So that means the stock is dipping.
So here's the alternative.
That's why stops suck. It's opposite to what we say on the show. It's buy the dip. not sell the dip. That's
Okay.
why I stopped.
So
selling.
then this is what we'll do then. One of you needs to text me.
And say, oh yeah, but I'll text you that day because I'm watching it all the time. I
One
buy
of you
and sell
needs to
3 times.
text me.
Sell, Spencer. Sell, Mortimer.
No. What's your time? Forget about it, Spencer.
Yeah, I
Forget
know.
about
No,
it.
you're right.
Forget about it.
But maybe if it falls below 25, one of you gives me a heads up. No,
Yeah,
no.
Dennis will be like, "Where's your stop? Where's your stop?" And
Oh, yeah,
he'll
I
put
said
a
it,
bid
like,
in there.
Danny
He'll
on the
put a
chat said I
bid in
said
there.
1% down. I do. I always get stopped on everything. 'cause
He'll
I
be
got
like,
the
"I wonder
stops
if I
too
could.
tight."
What exchange are you putting? What broker do you go through, and what exchange are you putting in on?"
I
And
bought
then
the rocket yesterday and I had to actually leave, and I did this and I put the stop under it. Obviously, you know, it worked out for me because rocket kept running, but I do this trade a lot. And these are day trades. But when I see a stock that I think is going to break out, I stop myself out often. If it's looking like it's healthy in the first 10, 20 minutes of the day, I often stop myself out at the low of the day.
Yep.
So in some cases, that's only 30, 40 cents down. But I say to myself, if the stock turns red, I don't probably want to own it. That's actually works for me quite a bit of times because I don't get stopped out all that often, as long as you're obviously buying stocks that are in uptrends and not doing it on like Wells Fargo. You know, and it worked well with rocket. But you know, in this case, you've been in this thing, it's $20 to 53.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a difficult spot to think, you know, if it pulled back to 45, it's still in an uptrend. If it pulls back to 40, it's still going to be in an uptrend.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you still want to own it. Do you want to be selling if it pulls back to 40? I'd probably want to be buying
Also,
it.
worth keeping in mind, this reverse merger is going to close this month. I
And
think
that's going to help too.
I think by the time I get back, or the week I get back, this is gonna become Hyliion, and it will not be SHLL anymore, and it'll actually be the company.
Did you want to know?
I don't know what kind of catalyst that is for the merger to actually close.
Dennis, do a little research on that.
I guess we'll find out.
I'm in the SPAC one, SPAQ, because that one's going to be Fisker.
Yeah, but none of us know what kind of catalyst these mergers actually closing means, right? Like, what is it worth for the SPAC to actually become the company it's merging with?
It seems like they go up. UTS we just saw.
I don't know.
And I've tried to track this data because obviously, you know, I trade all this stuff, and I have a note. UTS popped almost 20% that day that SPAC, whatever the hell it was called before it became UT Zebra.
Okay.
So
it's
we
probably
do have some short-term history on these things that they tend to pop the day they become those, and they tend to run up. And if you look, UTS ran up 3-4 days ahead of it. It wasn't a coincidence. You see this big move in UTZ, $14, $16, and then it gets that, and then it becomes it, and it pops on tops that day 19. In this case, it looks like it was the selling opportunity to sell into the strength that day when it actually became it. Because you know why? Because they can talk about it on CNBC all day. You know, oh, we got this one and it just became it. And then when the media starts talking and covering stuff, you know, to the extreme, usually that's the sign that you should be ringing the register.
Does that include us?
No, usually this is
maybe.
All right. Okay, I do want to get to some stocks in the chat. I apologize. I saw a few in there, and I want to do some.
Let's
quick
do
thoughts.
one a minute. Throw it, Joel Dennis.
Don't. I'm passing on Peloton.
One every 30 seconds. Peloton's gonna be $100.
All right,
I'm
drop
bullish Peloton. Mad that I didn't buy it yesterday when I wanted to buy it. I didn't pay up for that one. Should have.
Okay, Elf Beauty, ELF.
Joel, it's you.
Elf Beauty. Boy, we get asked about this one all the time. And clear breakout over 20. Yeah, over 20 here. Opens up. Elf Beauty, they sell wigs and stuff like that, right? In beauty supplies.
Makeup, yeah.
Yeah, makeup. Breakout over 20 here. If it's anything like Estee Lauder, you got to own it. Breakout.
You got to put on your makeup for your Zoom meetings. Next.
Exactly. Slack.
Oh, stock's been hot. And the reason is Zoom.
Oh, look at that.
Running into the earnings. They have a history of disappointing on earnings. I'm going to say it. Last time they reported it was when's the number?
Slack? I thought they were
Comment.
They commented in June. So.
Oh, whoa, the 8th. Is that Monday?
The 8th. It's 4 or 5 days away only. It could run till then. I've got a trader at Bright. He told me I'm holding my Slack, my work until the night it reports. Like sell it right before it reports.
Yeah.
I think that's the play. I think you sell it right before it reports. I think that's the play. So
36,
I think it could run. It could run to 36, 30. We see how these pre-earnings runs. So I would not sell my work. If I'm in work, I'm not selling it yet. Unless this whole market rolls over and turns over, I'd be holding, and seeing if you can get that pre-earnings run that we've seen in so many stocks. And not out of the realm of possibility this could get to 37 or 38 before the earnings. So we still got a few days.
36 was
Again, overall market though.
Yep. 36 recovery high, just under 38 to fill the gap, double top at 40.
Uber trading range.
Uber. We haven't talked about Uber.
It's come back a long ways, but it's at the top of the range, and it's not sexy right now. Lyft is the opposite of sexy. It's been in a downtrend. I'd sell Uber. I think there's better spots for your money. My opinion.
Yeah, coming up resistance 35. Trading range since mid-June.
And then, Workhorse. Oh my goodness.
Oh, it took off without me. I bought it. I took the $1.50 and looks good. Again, USPS contract. We don't know if it's yay or nay. Stock looks good from a technical basis. And NEO as well. Oh, I sold my NEO. Don't sell. Never sell. Anyway, sold my NEO. Shouldn't have sold my NEO.
Good on those. Which one? What else you want to do?
Let's do one more. What is REDU? I don't know what that is. Is that online education?
Yeah, in the Cayman Islands.
Looks like online education.
Don't know much about that one.
I mean, it's no Chegg, but things, it came from just over 10 to 6. That was kind of where it broke out from. So get over 7, maybe take a look. Not much. Just that one little pesky high the day after it traded over 10. I would use an intermediate target, 775 and then 10.
All right, we'll cover the rest of these at the 3:40 show. I want to thank our guest, Mark Chaikin. Thanks to all of you in our chats, all the likes. I see 316. Thanks for the super chat comments as well in the donations and
Super chat.
Super PreMarket Prep show.
Please remember all the information from our show is meant to be used as informational purposes, not for investing or trading advice. You can catch a replay on YouTube. Or on our podcast. We're on all the major podcast platforms. That'll be a wrap for us.
One more question for Dennis.
Yeah.
One more question for Dennis.
Yeah.
Dennis, when you're heading up to your cottage, you're going north of Toronto, right? You head straight up, right? Do you go as far as Toronto and then head north when you go that way?
Yeah, you go through Toronto.
There's a burger shack. It's on both sides of the road.
Oh, Weber's.
That's it. I'm gonna buy
Weber's, just north of Aurelia.
What? Yeah. Okay.
My cottage isn't that far, but Weber's famous. They built the bridge over the highway. Weber's, the burger shop, so popular that they built the bridge over the highway just to get the traffic on the other side of the highway. So they built a pedestrian bridge where you can just walk. They spent like $4 million on it just to build this pedestrian bridge.
They grill them. Okay, that's when I get up, like you could buy like a big sack of them or a big frozen thing. When we get up to like 10 lunches, that's when I'm going to send you.
Weber's. Oh, the burgers are awesome. Great burger. You ever come up Northern Ontario? Stop at Weber's, have a burger. Great burger. Lined up like, and but they pump them out. They're like, there'll be 50 people in line. You still only wait 20 minutes. They're solid.
Are they public or no?
No, it's just a little burger joint.
I know.
So whoever started that burger joint is very rich, though.
All right. Have a good one, everyone. We'll see you in the afternoon.